All right, I'm going to show you the tie rod, and this is kind of pushing it to the limit, I think. That's a lot of play. I mean, is it going to break? Yeah, eventually. So this is why we're after this. The other side is about the same. This thing must have drove terrible. This is going to be an epic battle with the corrosion. Now, these little cars in this area, these tie rod ends, you've got to use a torch. It's terrible. So I guess it's time to do battle. I'm going to start by cleaning up these threads the best I can. I don't even know what would be good to use here. Maybe a thread file. And have these ones too. We're going to spray it with some more stuff. First thing we got to do is try to break this loose. I'm going to have to lay down. Hang tight. So here we go. Let's see. It's going to go this way. That wasn't bad. What in the world? All right. Well, I'm gonna try to hold it there. See if I can get this to turn backwards. So. No, I'm not. We'll do that in a minute. Let's see if we can get this. See if we can get this. Sorry. Okay. I don't like breaking them free or turning them out with an impact wrench because sometimes the impact also breaks the taper in here, and that makes this is so rusty that makes this unscrewing this difficult. It's nothing you can't do, but it is extra difficult. So let's just break this loose. We're almost there. All right, that's done. Now, if this was an aluminum knuckle, I wouldn't use this. I would use a puller. We're going to break the taper with this, but on an aluminum knuckle, you probably shouldn't do that. You can deform the taper. You can break the knuckle. So we're just going to give this a couple whacks. Just like that. I can't believe this is unscrewing. Looks like it's been replaced before. That makes sense. Oh, look at that. Gold anti-seize. Nice. I hate anti-seize. Now we see if we can get that nut to turn. I'm going to measure this from the inside of that nut to the outside of this inner tie rod. This will give me a baseline for replacing the new one. The reason I'm doing this is so I can drive it to the place where I'm going to line it up. Now, I'm going to have I got 1 inch and 1.5 inches, almost an inch, 1.5 inches. I'm going to write that down. Well, while this will get me reasonably close, this is not this isn't, this will take your tires off if you don't get this right. So this is just to get you to the alignment machine if you're doing this at home. So now we're going to try to get that nut. I'm going to try to run it in, clean up those threads. Can't find a socket that fits, because I could run it in pretty darn far with a socket. Okay, so I got to do this the hard way because I can't find a 22mm socket. All I'm doing is running this in to clean the threads, and I'm going to put a new nut on. I may have to get the torch out. Oh. My fingers. I make it harder on myself because I can't find my socket. A pretty darn common one. If I can get a good pull here without knocking one of these jack stands over. getting the torch. All right. Sorry for the delay there. Just give it a little heat. Maybe. Let's stop being so dumb. This is embarrassing. Wait a minute. Well, I've got acetylene left. There, here we go. Here we go, this will pop out. There we go. See how this goes. That's better. But it won't last. It's already getting tight again. All right. Come on, Tom. Okay. Have a show without torch, right? Exciting stuff. don't need a whole lot. We're going to go to 10.
That's plenty of room for a new tie rod for the alignment. If you do this heating and stuff, when you're doing alignment, you've got to wait and wait so it all cools back down. So if you're doing this, you don't have a socket like, well, Ding Dong here doesn't. If you don't have a torch, you know, it can be overcome. But it'd be nice to your friendly alignment guy, because he'll thank you for this. Whoops. See if I can do a little bit more out of it.
A little bit more. Give me 2 inches. Remember, I'm going to put this back at 1.5 inches. And if you have to adjust it more than a few turns as an alignment shop, there's something else wrong with the car. So we're going to go with that. That ought to be enough threads. Well, let's unscrew this and then we're going to let it cool. If I had been thinking about this, I would have done this with the other part of the tie rod still attached. We'll let this cool. Well, this is finally cooled down. You can touch it. Now, I opened the new box for the tie rod end. This is the new one. It's a Moog, and this is the old one. So they're pretty close in length. The Moog looks to be a wee bit longer. The thing is, the Moog didn't come with a jam nut. They always come with a jam nut. So I spent all that time, which I needed to anyways, loosening this up so I can adjust it. But it's just kind of frustrating that it didn't come with a jam nut because I always replace them. So we need to make our measurement. Now it's not going to be right for sure because the Moog one's just a little bit longer. But it should be close enough. But wait. Before I screw this all together, I'm going to put a little lube on it. And the last people used copper never sees. I hate never sees. So I'm just going to use little tiny drops, little tiny film of the marine grease. So it should be good. At least I'll get my alignment done, and then after that, this car's got a lot of miles on it. I don't know how much more it's going to be, how much longer it's going to last. So I'm going to do the measurement again. There it is. or 1.5 inches. We're simply going to screw this on. It's turning a little tight, but you know, we're looking at old threads, new threads. Who knows how it was machined? Who knows where it even came from? Could be Chinese, I don't know. I'll have to look on the box. Generally, Moog is a good brand, but it fits good. I'm not unhappy with the fit. I once did a 2005 Chevrolet half-ton, and it was a lifted truck. And the guy bought all this stuff from Rock Auto, but it was like Evotech or some name I never heard of. The tie rod ends wouldn't screw in far enough. They didn't have enough threads. We ended up going to a local parts store, which is a 25-mile ride, and had to get, you know, regular, some known brand like Moog. I can't remember what it was, but he never even sent those back to Rock Auto. It was too much of a hassle. So, but they were only $5. What do you expect for $5? So let's slide this back up in here. I'm gonna jiggle you around a little. So we're gonna clean out the taper a little bit. Really don't want any dirt in there. Okay, that's good. While I was waiting for this to cool, I was working on the other side of the brakes. And I was looking at the tie rod in over there. I think I'm in trouble. I'll show you when I'm done with this. What do you know, it's the same size as the other one. All right, I'm gonna go get some torque specs. I'll be right back. All right, it's a week later. I've got the part for the tie rod end that I showed you earlier. So today we're gonna change that tie rod end, and if I have time, we're gonna do an alignment. So stick with me. Well, here's the offender right here. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this boot off, and then we're gonna take this loose like we did the other side. I'll probably just cut this. I'm not gonna mess around with the nut. And all right, let's get started. Well, this is how we're going to take the tie rod end off today. I'm not going to bore you with watching me do the whole thing, but basically we're just going to cut it off right there. The torque seems to be 97 foot-pounds, so we're going to. That seems like a lot for a tie rod end. I don't know about this. That's 70. Let's see if we can get it up to 97. It just seems so tight, or we're gonna lose my light. It's gonna break. All right, I'm calling that tight enough. And we're gonna turn it where the holes line up. Looks like they line up there. Slide that in. Okay, we're gonna get this cotter pin in position. Cut off the excess. Put that down in the, kind of bend it around the and the Zerk fitting just gets snug. We're going to put a little grease in it. Not too much. That's enough. Got a little wipe. That's it. We're all done with this side. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're looking at here on the right side. This is bad. I mean, this is going to ruin the whole, the rest of my day. If you look right here, see where I am? I don't know if you can see it. There's no threads there. There's threads here. There's threads here. But then it necks down and the threads are gone. There's just a couple of threads there. It looks like possibly that somebody aligned this and grabbed the threads because it's got aftermarket tie rod ends on it. So it looks like somebody grabbed the threads and I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how good you can see it. I'm gonna flip the camera around real quick. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious here. No threads. I can't do it. You're gonna have to take that inner tie rod off. It's not gonna happen today, that's for sure. So. Okay, that's all she wrote. All right, so I think we'll take care of this one first. Everything's frozen. There's not even, it's terrible. We'll take this cotter key out here and I'll spray this down a little bit more. See if we can get that cotter key out. It's rusted. It doesn't look too bad. It should come out. I'm trying to keep my fingers warm. This car's like bringing in a giant ice cube since I didn't have it in all night. Let's see. Oh, that's gonna come right out. Out. Oop. No. There we go. It's an 18. A little bit of a tug. Oh. Maybe I should loosen this before I cut it off. Let me get a different tool. Haven't turned the compressor on this morning because it's so cold. Sometimes it blows a fuse when it's this cold. Didn't have the heat on last night. Yeah, I should have done that. That's what I should have done. There we got it. Just need a little bit more leverage. That was a ding-dong thing to do there. Ridiculous. fingers now. A couple of good wraps, that should come out. There. It took 3, just like a Tootsie Pop. Okay, so back here, we gotta get this rubber boot out of the way. We're gonna start with the little clamp there. I need a pair of pliers. I should have had them in hand here. So we're just gonna take this. Take the little clamp off. Put it in the pile. Oh, everything's frozen. Oh. I might have to get a heat gun out. Well, I gotta go underneath and get the bigger clamp. Let's try to save it. Hopefully I can separate it. I'm gonna set that up. So this is what we're after. We're after this boot right here. But I gotta release this clamp. I don't know how good, it doesn't seem to be focusing very well. Right here. Now I want to try to save this clamp so I could reuse it. But I don't know, it's upside down. It's in a bad place. I usually can open them up a little bit. Man, that baby's in a bad place. So, let me give that a little spray. I guess I'm going to try to get underneath this. It's got a little hook right there. And then you squeeze this clamp to get it into position. So I'm going to try to hook that. I'm going to try to pry that out of there. And then fix the hook. I'm not sure about all this. I don't want to damage the boot. All right, hang on. So I've got a long, skinny screwdriver. I can get it from the outside. Can you see what I'm doing? I can't tell if you can see or not. See my little screwdriver? So I'm going to get in this little slot right here. I'm going to give it a little twist. One way then the other. There we go. Maybe that's loose. Maybe I can spin it. I'm going to take my little screwdriver. I'm going to stick it in here. Oh, I got it. So now, let's just see. Oh, we can spin the boot. That's too bright. Okay, I was able to spin the boot. And now it's up there where I can get it. So we're going to try to spread that out. Let me see what happens here. Let me give this a tug. Oh. I hope it's not going to let it go past. See if we can spread that thing out. What we'll do is we'll spread it out, unhook it, and then we'll be able to reuse it. I don't know why. I'm sure they sell boot kits for these, but probably nobody has one in stock today. Not that I want to buy a boot, there's nothing wrong with this one. Alright. Oh, you guys aren't even watching. Alright, I'm going to try something different. Well, this is the tool we're going to be using. This is a tie rod end, inner tie rod end tool. I've probably had this, I don't know, since the late 80s. And it has these little crow's feet. Different ones. Got a whole bunch of them. Well, I only got 4. The new kits they have out now have like 12. So I believe this is the one that's going to fit. So we'll put it in here. You just simply put it over the tie rod end. So this tie rod end has flats. Now some of them don't. Oh, that one's too big. That one's too big. Let's see. Let's try this one. This one here. That one's too small. I only got a couple more here. That one will do. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm going to stick this tube I'm going to stick this tube over the tie rod end, and then it has slots that you can turn this with. That rubber band there, let's see if I can do this with the camera in my hand. Probably not. It originally had a metal clip, so on this end we're going to put a breaker bar and loosen this up. So I'm going to get this all set up, and you can watch. Breaker bar, and some brute force. Oh, that came loose pretty easy. There, then you just unscrew it. Now you could probably rent those tools at parts stores that rent tools, like AutoZone, those kind of places. They probably rent those tools. There it is. The only reason we're replacing this is because of this rust that was here we couldn't use these threads. So I'm gonna go get the other one, get the new box. So here we are. I've already opened this box once because I needed to see. Okay. We're going to do some measuring and comparing. I guess what I really need to know is the distance from here to that ring. I'm going to say 65 centimeters, and I'm going to use that number because you can see that's the mark for the half a centimeter lines up with the edge of the tie rod end, or the edge of that slot. That slot's for the boot. This one actually It's probably a little bit, looks like it's a little bit longer for this one. Of course, they're built a little different. So this one's about 7. So that's a ½ centimeter. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to measure where the nut was on the old one, from the edge of that lip to where the nut was on this old one, so that I can get it close to drive it to the place where we're going to line it. Now this goes back on here. It's a little dampener. Maybe. Maybe it won't fit. So, oh, it's split. Yeah, it'll fit. So we will we'll get this all set up and put it back on. Okay, here we are back at the car. I was able to get that on, that dampener thing. I'm not 100% about it, but we're going to screw this back in. It fits, that's good. That's a good sign. It screws in. It's got blue Loctite on it. Alright, so I'm going to have to get the tool and we'll tighten that up and then we'll give it a torque. Okay, we're getting the tool ready here. Got the torque wrench already. Set to 58 foot-pounds according to service information. So, let's get this on there. I'll turn it by hand. There. Okay. Now, torque wrench is already set. I better get an extension. It's interfering. Brake rotor is interfering. Let's see. Maybe we can move that in a little. Oh, I must have lost it. Must have fallen off. Yep. Alright. Let's try this again. That's why the rubber band is usually important. Kind of holds that in there. Try to keep some tension on it. 58 foot-pounds. Oh, that thing is slipping. I don't know if I got another one that'll fit this big thing. Nope, that's not gonna fit. This is not cool. Try again. I'll get to stay on there. Yeah, put shim or something in there. Nope, it's slipping right off. It's spinning over. Now I'm bleeding. Now, let's see. That's stuck. All right, I'm gonna figure out what I can do here. So I made a little shim. We're gonna try this. Just have a piece of rusty metal I had over there. So what we're gonna do, stick that between the wrench and the tie rod. See if we can tighten that. I don't even know where I put the tool now. That's weird, my tool is missing. Here it is. I put it on a bench. Why would I do such a thing? Okay, let's see if this works. All we want to do is tighten it a little bit. Not even very much. Okay. Still in there? Yeah, it's still in there. Feels tighter. We'll know in a second here. No, we won't. All right. Let's try this again. Get that rust out of there. Let me cut this off a little bit. Let's make it a little shorter. All right. I put this blue glove on because I was bleeding. I don't want you bleeding all over the place. You guys don't want to see me bleeding. Or maybe you do. I don't know. What do I know? Put the torque wrench on it first, so I'm not fooling with that, pushing it out of my way. Well, I can see how this is going to go. Hang on, I got to go find my parts again. Oh, the struggle is real, isn't it? I'm not fooling around here for struggling. That's just rust. Where'd my little piece of metal go? I might glue this on this time, but this doesn't work. Okay, now, give her a whirl. All we want to do is hear this thing click. There it is. That worked. All right. All right. I'm gonna wipe off some of this rust. We've got to put the boot back on. But before we do, we're going to slip this off. We're going to take it over to the bench and spread it out. Now, you know what? Why don't we try putting it on? I have a pair of pliers for these clamps, and well, maybe we'll just put it on and clamp it back together. Let's see how that works. I don't know if you guys can see anything. The sun's coming out over here. It has a little lip. Now let's go with plan A. Let's go over to the bench. Spread this thing out a little bit. So what I'm going to try to do here is It's like looking through a microscope. Probably should just look at it that way. I'm just going to try to flatten these out a little bit. Spread them out. There. And then get this to slip over the rack, and we'll use these pliers to tighten them down. You just put on there and you squeeze. All right, let's go back to the car. Okay, we're going to slide this over. See, this has a little lip here, and then the boot should stay on there once I squeeze that clamp. Well, it came off a lot easier than it's going back on. There it is. Okay, so we're going to leave that loose. We got other things to do up front here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I got to measure from that. I got to spin that nut on. And I measured my old tie rod end where the nut stopped. I measured it from that groove, and I got 14 and a half centimeters, 145 millimeters. I don't know what it is in inches. three, I don't know. I'd have to do the conversion. All right, let me go get the measuring tape. Well, I just came to the realization that maybe some of you noticed it right away. I got to put that little clamp on this shaft before I put this nut on, of all the things. Come on, there we go. Put this on. The little clamp goes on first. So, while we're screwing this, I had another video I was going to do, and I got it mostly done, and then it was 10 degrees outside, and my wholesale guy brought me another Escape. He brought it on a trailer, and he left it on the trailer here in my driveway. And when I went out there, it wasn't snowing. It was just cold, no big deal. So I did we scanned it and was talking about it and opened the hood to start the diagnosis. And by the time I got the meter all set up and disconnected the connector, it was snowing so hard, and the snow was really interfering and slowing me down. So that's about 14 and a half right there. I know it's upside down, but anyhow. So I had, although I fixed it, it was a no crank, no start. I wasn't able to shoot a video because it was just, so there's the 10, 12, 13, 14 and a half. That'll do it. That's close enough to get me home. Not me home, get me to the alignment shop. So anyways, on that video, opening stuff with my teeth. Too old for that. My teeth will fall right out. On the video, that I was working on. It was snowing so hard that the snow was filling up the connector. And it was filling up to where the connector plugged in on the computer. It covered my meter so that you couldn't even tell there was a meter there. So I had to give it up. I had to give up filming because I needed to address what was happening with the weather. This is the new tie rod end, the outer tie rod end. It would have been a good one. It turned out the guy thought it was the switch for the door causing his car not to start because the key didn't work in it. But the PAT system needs the ECM, and I didn't have any communication with my powertrain control module, and it didn't have any keep alive power at the connector. So I started at the fuse, and I didn't start the fuse, but I went to the fuse, and sure enough, the fuse was bad. Wait, no wonder this isn't working. That's the wrong way. This comes up from the bottom. So the fuse was corroded at the bottom, pretty near broken off. And that's all it was. The car started and ran. That was easy money. He was happy he didn't have to buy a powertrain control module. All right, I'm going to get this nut out and we're going to get finished up with this. Well, I got the nut started. Draw it up in there.
I forgot to put grease on my threads.
Inside the tie rod end. Now, I remember from last time on the other side that this was a 96 foot-pounds, which seemed like a lot to me. So we're going to start out at the 58 that it's already set at. Okay, we're going to sneak up on it and see. Let's go to 75. Something to hold the wheel. Let me get the extension. Still had the old nut in it. Man, it just seems like so much. That isn't a really big stud. There's 75. Man, if that stud breaks, I'm gonna be so mad. All right, that's tight enough. Oh, good, the hole's already lined up. Stick the pin in there. There it is, there's the pin. I know I got pliers here somewhere. All right. I like that. throw this little zip fitting in. That's the 7mm. Wrong drawer. I'll just screw this in and give it some grease. Put some grease on the threads. Well, we'll do that after I do the clamp. Just like the other side. The rest of this is just like the other side. Okay. Now we'll put some grease on this. A little bit of marine grade grease. Not Never Seas. I know, everybody uses Never Seas, but I hate that stuff. Just a little snug. It's going right to the alignment place. That's all it needs, a little snug. All right, now you gotta go in there and clamp that thing before I pull this boot. Before I pull the boot out to where the clamp goes. So hang tight, let's go under there and clamp that. Okay. Let's get that little clamp. All right, now we got that clamp in the back good and tight. It won't come back out. We're gonna slide this boot out till it comes to that groove. Once it's in that groove, we slip that little clamp on. If my fingers will work. These aren't the best pliers for this. I should know better. Well, that's all there is for this side. I'm going to put the wheel back on, and then there's an underbody plastic shield I had to take off. And some bolts I had to cut out because they were rusted in there. Didn't show you all that. That was difficult to film because it's pretty close to the ground. So I'm going to take it up to the alignment shop, and I'll be right back. Well, that wraps up the little Jeep Patriot for now. I got the alignment done, and it drives pretty good. I've got a problem in the back. I'm sure it's going to return. There's a check engine light on. It's hard to fill with gas. There's all kinds of things, and the rear suspension needs replaced. I'll film some of that. The rear suspension, that's a pretty big job, and I don't know how I'm going to film. I don't know how I could film that. I'll figure it out. But hey, thanks for sticking with me and watching. If you like what I'm doing, give me a like, give me a subscribe, make a comment. If you don't like what I'm doing, give me a dislike, make a comment, subscribe. Well, you can make fun of me. It's all right with me. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.